have 3 sides of the pond that are all up inside the patio.
Look at all of the ornamentals that are growing.
But we ripped all that out, and then we blew out this entire area.
And my favorite thing about this project is how the hardscapes are incorporated. I mean, it really makes it. I'm Greg Wittstock, the Pond Guy. This is my channel, Greg Wittstock, the Pond Guy, and I'm with Jack Pasinski, the man who actually created this beautiful aquascape water feature. We like to showcase how people live the aquascape lifestyle, including a kind of cool contemporary and informal pond that we built, what, how long ago?
3 years.
Okay, so Jack, this was an existing, was it an aquascape pond or just a homeowner built pond?
Homeowner built pond that we maintained for, gosh, it probably was 5 or 6 years. They finally wanted to kind of do a revamp and spruce some things up. They really liked the formal look of what we were doing with the brick walls at the time, and that's what we did. We have 3 sides of the pond that are all up inside the patio, are all formal walls, so that was definitely a challenge, making sure that we were straight and making sure everything lined up nice, but it looks absolutely amazing. This is the first time that I've seen in the last 3 years.
We'll actually put a link to the video building this from the Team Aquascape, which Jack runs, which is our construction, but the contemporary or formal edges with the informal, look at all of the ornamentals that are growing. I love the creeping Jenny. You've got your, what do we call that? The evergreen.
The evergreen?
Yeah. We've got evergreens, soften up the borders. So the fact that we have a formal edge and an informal backdrop, and what I really love about this is how close the waterfall is to all the living areas. You can get right up close and personal with it. Why don't you give us a walkthrough of what you actually built here?
All right, so when we first came out here, the existing pond came just in this area here, and then actually this was not here. This corner just 90'd out around here. So we came in, we wanted to add a bunch of boulders into the patio, so that's what we did here. We carved in a rock here. We have a rock over there. But as we continue on, the pond came around, just underneath the deck just a little bit. We actually can see there what's left of where a rock used to be at when the carpenters carved around the rock. That was part of the existing, or the old pond, but we ripped all that out, and then we blew out this entire area. So we brought the pond super far into the patio, and then added this edging material all the way around, and you can see that this pond goes straight down. It's 2.5 feet deep, all in this area here, and then steps up with a fish cave sitting right underneath here, so the fish can have a safe space to go. So in case the heron or raccoon comes along, they can hide and get away from the predators. But we stair step into a shallower area where he has all of his lilies. We have our skimmer box sitting off to the side, so we have a 4 to 7 pump that feeds our waterfalls, and then we have a 3PL feeding the jets that are along this side here. So in the wintertime, this is all open, and he can see into his pond, and the fish can breathe throughout the winter, keeping a hole open in the ice. So originally, we had a waterfall in this side here, and then we actually had another waterfall that was just at the edge of the pond. It was only like 3 inches high. It was super small, and then we ended up pulling all those out and putting in one big 6,000 biofalls that's very well disguised with a piece of driftwood. And I love how the plants are creeping down into the rock tray, so it looks absolutely amazing. And then we have a super simple waterfall, big rock, small rock in the middle, and then diving down into a split waterfall that they can see from inside the house. So super cool project. I think this project only took us, 4 or 5 days, just because it took us some time mapping out all the walls and getting everything nice and straight and level with the patio. So that was pretty much the walkthrough here.
So Jack, what percentage of the jobs that Aquascape does are kind of rebuild projects like this, where there's an existing water feature that could have been professionally installed, but most of the time it's homeowner installed? What percentage of the time that you go to somebody's house, do they have an existing water feature versus creating one from scratch?
About 50%.
Half the time people, but what I love about it is these customers didn't give up. Nope. They've got a completely different design.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about this project is how the hardscapes are incorporated. I mean, it really makes it. And then also, this is something that is not a big pond. So many times, a lot of times the people are watching our vlogs, they get their first pond, they get their biggest pond, but this really fits nicely into the space. What would it cost for Aquascape to replicate this in somebody's yard?
For this pond, it would be $30,000, and you may think that's a little pricey, but when you take in consideration that we have all these brick walls, that takes quite quite a bit of time and a lot of labor to get everything lined up, especially when you're working with an existing patio.
Whenever I see a water lily that is still in the container that it comes from the grower in, I know two things. One, it's going to be root bound, and two, it's going to be anemic in its growth. This is a project for the water lily sheriff. This is the #1 problem I see as I visit Aquascape Ecosystem water gardens all over the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to properly plant an aquatic water lily. The fabric container will allow the roots to get nutrients out of the water, and the most important thing, it'll allow the plant that gets root bound to spread out. Super important. This aquatic plant soil from Aquascape has actually been blended for aquatic plants. Put 2 of these in here right now for this size pot. Take our lily, hardy water lily. You want the rhizomes grow across. We're gonna put it on one of the edges, not in the middle. And at this point, we got it like that, we're gonna add our fertilizer. So we're gonna spread out our fertilizer right in the bottom. So now what we wanna do is simply add gravel on the top. And this plant is ready to be put in the pond. It's always less expensive to do something right the first time, but I'm glad these homeowners didn't give up. I love the design. This is art, so it's priced like art. Not everybody's gonna be in the market for the same type of art, but what do you guys think? What do you think of the contemporary or formal edging with the informal backdrop? I think it's perfect. If you're interested in living the aquascape lifestyle and finding a certified aquascape contractor by you to do this kind of thing, check out the link below. I love my job.